First foremost, I want no further conflict with him.
You tell him from me that he can live or he can die.
Vincent, will you shut up?
The legend of Al Pacino isn't just about cinematic greatness. It's about survival, reinvention, and a life filled with twists more dramatic than any of his roles. But now, at 84, the man who once ruled Hollywood is facing a reality no one expected. Financial ruin, roles he despises just to stay afloat, and a controversial, late-in-life fatherhood that shocked the world. And if that wasn't enough, the near-death experience that changed him forever, when his heart stopped in 2020, left him questioning everything. How did Hollywood's most powerful actor end up so alone? Al Pacino's journey began in East Harlem, New York, on April 25, 1940. His parents, Rosa Girardi and Salvatore Pacino, were Sicilian immigrants chasing the American dream, but their marriage crumbled early. When Pacino was just 2, his father left, moving to California to become an insurance salesman. That left Rosa to raise him in the South Bronx, with the help of his grandparents. Money was always tight, and life was far from easy. But Rosa had one passion that changed everything: movies. She took young Al to theaters, unknowingly setting the stage for the career that would define him. But before he could make it to Hollywood, Pacino was a troubled kid. By 9, he was smoking and drinking. By 13, marijuana entered the picture. School, that was never his thing. Expelled from multiple institutions, he drifted aimlessly, running with a group of kids who had no future. Some turned to crime. Others, like his closest friends, Cliffy, Bruce, and Pi, ended up dead from overdoses. Pacino could have been one of them, but acting became his escape. The moment he stepped on stage, everything changed. Then, tragedy struck. In 1962, when he was just 22, his mother died at 43 after battling years of depression. The loss was devastating, but the universe wasn't done testing him. Only a year later, his grandfather, the man who had been his father figure, also passed away. 2 of the most important people in his life gone within a year. It sent him into a spiral. With no money and nowhere to go, Pacino threw himself into acting with a desperation that few understood. He worked as a janitor, a busboy, even a postal clerk, anything to pay for acting classes. Nights were spent couch surfing or, when things got really bad, sleeping on the streets. But in the underground theater scene, he was making waves. Then, in 1968, his breakout moment arrived. A little off-Broadway play, The Indian Wants the Bronx, changed everything. His raw, dangerous performance caught the attention of critics. And one very important man, Martin Bregman, the talent manager, saw something in Pacino that Hollywood hadn't yet recognized. He took him under his wing and fought to get him roles that mattered. And in 1972, the biggest fight of all began: The Godfather. The studio wanted a star: Jack Nicholson, Warren Beatty, Robert Redford. Pacino, at barely 5 feet 7 inches with only 1 movie credit, was not their idea of a leading man. They doubted him, hated him, fought to replace him. But director Francis Ford Coppola believed in Pacino, refusing to back down. The studio even threatened to fire him after seeing early footage. But then came the turning point: the iconic restaurant assassination scene. It was cold, calculated, terrifying. The moment it played for the executives, everything changed. Pacino was in. And with that, Hollywood was never the same. The Godfather grossed over $250 million, cementing Pacino as a legend. But his struggles didn't end there. He hated the Hollywood machine, despised the attention, and threw himself into roles that consumed him. Serpico, in 1973, he spent weeks with the real-life whistleblower to embody the role. Scarface, in 1983, he burned his hand grabbing a hot gun during filming, refusing to stop. But the cost of being Al Pacino was high: failed relationships, lost friendships, and a loneliness that no amount of money or fame could fix. Then, in 2020, the unthinkable happened. His heart stopped. Paramedics revived him, but something inside him changed forever. Now, at 84, he lives a life no one could have predicted. Broke, after losing $50 million. Taking roles he doesn't love just to survive. And in 2023, shocking the world by becoming a father again, with a woman young enough to be his granddaughter. A messy DNA test battle only made things worse. Once, Al Pacino had Hollywood in the palm of his hand. Now, he's living on its outskirts, more isolated than ever. But is this truly the end of his story? Or does the man who survived Hollywood's toughest battles have one last act left? Stay tuned, because what comes next might just be the most shocking twist of all. From a struggling actor to a Hollywood legend, Al Pacino's journey has been nothing short of extraordinary. But behind the fame, there have been shocking twists, financial disasters, and personal struggles that even his most die-hard fans never saw coming. His career-defining performance in Scarface turned Tony Montana into a pop culture icon. But the film's impact was far more controversial than expected. The sheer brutality of the infamous chainsaw scene left audiences horrified, while critics slammed it for glorifying violence and drug culture. Yet, despite the backlash, Scarface became a cult classic, especially in hip-hop and Latino communities, where Montana symbolized ambition and defiance. But was it a cautionary tale or a glorification of excess? That debate rages on to this day. Pacino's transformation for Scent of a Woman was nothing short of method acting mastery. To portray the blind and bitter Colonel Frank Slade, he wore opaque contact lenses and relied on a cane, even when the cameras weren't rolling. The film's unforgettable tango scene captured a moment of beauty amidst Slade's personal darkness, and Pacino's powerhouse performance finally won him the Oscar that had long eluded him. Yet, while he was winning on screen, off-screen, his world was about to take a devastating hit. The financial nightmare came like a scene straight out of a Hollywood thriller. In 2011, Pacino discovered that his longtime accountant, Kenneth Starr, had been running a massive Ponzi scheme. Overnight, he lost a staggering $50 million. The man who had once commanded millions per film was suddenly wiped out. Forced to rebuild, Pacino took on unexpected roles, including Jack and Jill, a decision he later admitted was purely for the paycheck. It was a humiliating chapter in his life, but it proved one thing: no one, not even Hollywood royalty, is untouchable. Controversy followed Pacino again in 2018, when he portrayed Joe Paterno in HBO's Paterno, a film that delved into the Penn State child abuse scandal. The question at the heart of the story, how much did Paterno really know, divided audiences. Some saw him as a scapegoat, others believed he had turned a blind eye. The film refused to take a side, forcing viewers to grapple with the haunting reality of a fallen hero. This wasn't the first time Pacino stepped into a morally ambiguous role, and it certainly wouldn't be the last. Beyond the spotlight, Pacino's personal life has been just as complex. He never walked down the aisle despite high-profile relationships with Diane Keaton, Beverly D'Angelo, and Kathleen Quinlan. His love story with Keaton was particularly legendary. They met on the Godfather set in 1972, but by 1990, Keaton had given him an ultimatum: commit or walk away. He chose his freedom, a decision that haunted him for years. But the biggest shock came in 2023, when, at 83 years old, he became a father again. His relationship with 29-year-old Noor Alfallah made headlines, not just for the 54-year age gap, but for the paternity drama that followed. Pacino reportedly didn't believe he could still have children and demanded a paternity test. The results confirmed he was indeed the father of baby Roman, and despite separating from Alfallah, he remained committed to raising his son. Even at 84, Pacino refuses to slow down. He is set to star in Modi, a film about the Italian artist Amedeo Modigliani, directed by Johnny Depp. Another unexpected project? The Ritual, a horror film inspired by true events, set for release in 2025. It follows the chilling story of a real-life exorcism, proving that even after decades in the industry, Pacino still knows how to keep audiences on edge. From legendary roles to real-life scandals, Pacino's story is proof that even Hollywood's most iconic figures are not immune to the unpredictability of life. He has been a gangster, a blind war veteran, a disgraced football coach, and a music mogul on screen. But off-screen, he is a man who has lived through triumphs and tragedies that rival any script. The question is, what's next for Al Pacino? One thing is certain, the legend is far from finished.